Hey guys, welcome to another con support video. This one's on ordering rational numbers. Some of you guys were struggling on the skill, so I wanted to go over it with you. I'm going to use the whiteboard here, so let me erase the thing we were working on last. Whoop. And as this loads in, basically just make them all the same form and then compare them, right? So let's go through and do it. So we have the first three here. It says 5/4, and then there's 1 and 8/25, and then it's 1.3, okay? And it says order the following numbers from least to greatest. So you want the smallest value to the largest value, right? Least to greatest. Okay, so let's compare these first, right? So when we're comparing this is the same as 1 and 1/4, right? Because 4 goes into 5 one time, and there's 1 extra left over, right? 1 extra beyond the 4. So you have 1 and 1/4 compared to 1 and 8/25, right? And then compared to 1.3, which is the same as 1 and 3/10. So I'm going to make them all fractions. And then once I do that, I'm going to make them all into hundredths, right? Because I can make 4, 25, and 10 all into 100. Let's get a common denominator here. So this is 1 and 25 hundredths because I can multiply top and bottom by 25. This would be the same as 1 and then what's that fraction worth? Times top and bottom by 4. You're going to get 32 hundredths, okay? And then this one's going to be times top and bottom by 10 for the fraction, which would be 1 and 30 hundredths, right? So you're comparing 25 hundredths, 32 hundredths, and 30 hundredths because the ones are all the same. So, okay, what's the smallest one there? The 1 in 25 hundredths. So the smallest value is the 5/4. Okay. The next smallest value would be the 1.3 because that's 1 in 30 hundredths. All right, so that's 1.3. And then the next value would be the 1 in 32 hundredths, which is the 1 in 8/25. So this is the order that we should have it in. So now I go back over here to my little Khan Academy thing here, and I have, what's my order again? Oh yeah, 5/4, and then 1.3, and then 1/8. So put that over, slide it over, and now it's in the right order, and then check. All right, good, we got that one right. Let's do the next one. So it says match the number with the correct label. All right, cool. So looking at this one, I might not have to use a whiteboard too much on this one. So we know that B is going to be 0.17, all right? Now, what is 1/5? 1/5 is going to be 20 over 100. So that's going to be 2/10, right? So this is 0.2. So we're looking for something that's less than 0.2 because 0.17 is less than 0.2. So it looks like this A value must be 0.17. So that must be A. And then this one, B, is going to be on the right of that. So it's more than 0.2, but less than C, right? So 2/9 would be 0.2 repeating, right? And then 1/4 is 0.25. So 0.2 repeating is less than 0.25. So it looks like the B would be the 2/9, 0.2 repeating, and then the C would be the 0.25. So this is all good, I think. All right. Okay, this one is which of the following numbers are greater than negative 185 over 100? Choose all the answers that apply. All right, so let's compare some of these things. So on the whiteboard, let's grab our little eraser and erase. And we can see here that we're going to work with negative 185 over 100, right? Which is the same as negative 1 and 85 hundredths, right? Because we can just say that 100 goes into 185 twice or once with 85 left over. And so that's the same as negative 1.85. You want to look at it in a different way. So that initial value is going to be negative 1.85. It's asking which numbers are greater than this, right? Okay. So we've got negative 1.08. Is that greater than this? Well, the bigger the negative, right, the further it is from 0, absolute value-wise, the smaller it is, right? So which of the following numbers are greater than that? Yeah, negative 1.808 is going to be greater than that because smaller negatives are bigger than bigger negatives, right? Now let's look at the next one. 190 over 100. Well, any positive is going to be greater than a negative, so that's easy. That's a yes. And then last but not least, we have this one, negative 35 over 20. Well, let's investigate that. That's the same as negative 1, and 20 goes into 35, or taking away from 35 is 15. So we're looking at 1 and 15 twentieths, right? So this would be the same as change to a decimal times top and bottom by 5. So you got negative 1, and 15 times 5 is going to be 5 times 10, which is 50, and 5 times 5, which is 25. So it's 75. And 20 times 5 is just going to be 100, right? So this is the same as negative 1 and 75 hundredths, or negative 1.75. Now, negative 1.75 is greater than negative 1.85 because, like we talked about, the bigger the negative value, right, the smaller its actual value, right? The bigger negatives lose. So that means that all of these are, in fact, greater than negative 185 over 100. And yeah, that's like rocked it. All right, next one. Let's do it. It says order the following numbers from least to greatest. Okay, least to greatest. Okay. So we're on the negative side of the number line here. So that means basically the smaller absolute values are going to be bigger than the larger absolute values, right? Because the bigger negatives always lose. And they're all negatives. So the bigger negatives are going to lose. So really, you kind of want to work in a reverse world, right? It's least to greatest. So you're looking for the largest values, like absolute value wise, that are actually worth the smallest amount. So let's do it. So let's make a common denominator here. I'm seeing negative 14 and 1/5. That's going to be the same as negative 14 and 2/10 because you can times top and bottom by 2, which is the same as negative 14.2. So we got negative 14.2, we got negative 14.4, and we got negative 14.04. And the least to greatest order would then be as follows, right? The largest one is going to be, in terms of absolute value, negative 14.4, so that is definitely the smallest one. The negative 14 and 1/5 is the same as negative 14.2, which is going to be a bigger absolute value than negative 14.04. Since it's negative, it means it's going to be smaller, right? And then so this is the correct order, and then we're good. And yay, confetti falls. And that's how you order numbers. If they give it to you in different forms, just make it a common form. If you're on the negative side, right, the bigger absolute value loses. If you're on the positive side, the bigger absolute value wins, like normal. And that's it. Okay.